Bringing that good music. Yahweh International. New Foundation Production presents.
Just a little food for thought, baby. Just a little food for thought, baby. Come on. Just a little food for thought, just a little food for thought.
Yo, once again, it's your boy Keys. Welcome to the Food for Thought show here at IMG Studios, Houston, Texas. And man, what a horrible week here in Texas and across the nation. But here where I live, it's Clear Lake, League City. Santa Fe is right down the street, 15 minutes away. So we are all still kind of in shock, still going through it. And I'm not sure if I've talked about school shootings. I've talked about issues around this topic, but just never this topic specifically. And what I want to do is first, just my condolences go out to the family. There are no words to explain it. You know, as parents, you just got to be tired. It's like you can't even send your kids to school now. Like, really? Like, this makes no sense. Could you imagine being a parent going to work and constantly worrying about this issue? You know, it really doesn't make a lot of sense that you can't do that, you know, and just at work and trying to focus on work and then worrying about, is my kid going to be killed at school? You know, just so not fair. And, you know, what you hear from a lot of people, you know, you hear moments of silence. Kelly Clarkson made a good point. No more moments of silence. No more this, no more that. You need a moment of action. And what that action is, you know, it's hard to say, but I'm going to help people just kind of navigate that. What is action when it comes to school shootings? So here's something that constantly comes up in this issue. Pretty much over 90% of the time, if not 99.9% of the time, every one of these shooters have had mental health issues. All of them. Just all have had mental health issues through their life, dealing with mental health issues around bullying. It's always the same thing over and over. Bullying, students bullying somebody and its kid is male or female, whoever it may be, just has had enough and feels like they need to take matters into their own hands. But it gets warped and it gets warped into this dark, demonic act. And I say that because what happens is it's no longer about the people bullying you and you want everybody to pay. You want everybody to hurt and you don't care who it is. You just get to such a dark place. You can't even see, you can't think straight. You basically are just hopeless to the point where you have no more empathy for anybody. You have no more feeling. You're just dead. So since you're already dead, you want everybody else to be dead. And that's kind of the mindset of kids like that. You know, some of these kids will say, you know, I've been telling them, you know, they'll say I've been bullied and no one did nothing about it. Other kids say I might have been bullying but never said anything about it. But around all of that stuff is the issue of mental health. So today's show, we're going to just, you know, I'm going to try to answer a lot of questions. Question number one, why does this keep happening? And of course, on the Food for Thought, I try to speak on, I try to look at everybody's version of why they think it. You know, if you look to the left, the liberals are going to say it's these guns have gotten out of control. We need more gun laws, stricter gun laws. La la la, saying, you know, we need to get these guns under control and blah, blah. Now, so here's the problem with that. Because, yeah, guns don't kill people. People kill people. The guns don't get up and walk into a school and do things they do, but the access to guns do. So the problem, I can't say necessarily is the gun. It's irresponsible gun owners, like the fathers who don't lock their guns up and all that stuff. So do gun laws help? Yeah, some gun laws do help. Enforce the gun laws that are in place. Be way more strict on that. accountability when these things do happen. Because not only should the kid get in trouble, but the parent. That gun was not locked up. Absolutely not. No. You need to get some business too. You need to be as in much trouble as your child. There are a lot of irresponsible parents out there that leave guns under their bed, under their pillows. How many stories have you heard of a sibling killing another sibling because they found a gun under the pillow or in the bed, and playing with it. I can't even think about like doing that. Like if I have kids in the house, the last thing I want to do is leave a weapon not locked up and secured. That's not going to happen. So on the left, you talk about, guns, we need more laws, more strict gun laws. On the right, they're like, not only do we not need more rules, we need more guns. The teachers need to have guns, and this gun this and this gun that. Here a gun, there a gun, everywhere a gun. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that don't necessarily work neither. Because here's the mindset. Let me help everybody understand it. As somebody who directly works with children, over 15 years working with children, I've seen a lot of bad things happen. Teachers do bad things. Aides do bad things when they lose it. There's something that everybody needs to know about. There's a thing called care and compassion fatigue. Listen to me. Everybody listen to this word. Care and compassion fatigue. It's what happens when when people who work with young people get burnt out. They've had enough. And you start having empathy for your kids. You stop teaching right. You stop caring. It's just a job, and there's a disconnect that happens. And as a supervisor, somebody who has run facilities in the past, I can always identify it by the behaviors and the things that my staff would do. I'd pull them aside, like, "Hey, you were a little rough in that restraint. Like, what was going on with you? Like, dog, like, you just have to be like, yeah, you need to be off the floor for a while. You see it. You hear the people that tend to have this more often. You'll get it in your teachers. You get it in your police officers. You'll get it in anybody that serves young people. You can have it. Young people can push you to the edge and make you completely be like, what am I doing this for? So care and compassion fatigue is a dangerous thing because it'll allow you to not have empathy and lose impulse control and do things, hurt kids, say things as kids, do things as kids they shouldn't be doing. This is the number one reason why guns should not be in the hands of teachers. I don't care who they are, what their experience is, because you can't get around this thing. Care and compassion fatigue happens. It's a known thing within the field of service, and it's a dangerous thing because it will alter your mindset. So imagine that you've armed some of these teachers and they've had a bad week. They're tired of being cussed at, spit at, assaulted, and everything else. And kids do assault teachers and caretakers and counselors and therapists. It happens all the time, every day, all day. Just because you don't hear about it on the news doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's just part of the work we do. There are teachers that get assaulted every day by various people. And you want these teachers and various people to have guns? Are you lost your mind? Do you have any idea? If this teacher has care compassion fatigue, and there's another term for it too, but this is the one that we use in the industry. And I got this gun and this kid is doing something to me and I lose it. It's gonna happen. It is going, listen to me. If these guns get in teachers' hands, you might as well count the days, weeks, months, or however long it takes. Yes, a teacher will kill a kid and maybe everybody else. Imagine I'm a teacher carrying a gun and you just fired me. Imagine I just got punched by somebody. Imagine I just had a divorce. Do you really want somebody sitting around your kids and not understanding who they are outside of work? Nah. So that's the right. You got the left, you got the right. And anytime you pick one on left or right, you're tending going to always pick wrong on I am right in the middle. I like hearing everybody's opinion about stuff. I understand what the right is saying. I understand what the left is saying. But at the end of the day, I'm reasonable. I'm practical. And I think things through. I don't think in the moment with my emotions. I think long term. What can happen, down the road? What will and always does happen when you think with emotions and you get all caught up. So no, putting guns in teachers' hands is not the solution. It may help a little bit, but there's a heavy cost, so no, not a solution. First of all, some of the things that we need to really start doing in the schools, we need to start funding our schools. First of all, we need to start getting our counselors back into the schools and stop giving, 100 kids per counselor. Basically when they defund schools, and when I say defund schools, they stop putting money into schools and pulling money out of school, is that there's less resources, and there's less resources for the students. There's less resources for the teachers. So if that's the case and there's less resources, that means everybody's just kind of going to work and going home, going to work and going home. And for the student, going to school and going home. And so there's not really enough time and people to interact to catch these students who are struggling with mental health issues. So, what normally happens within a school is, if you are a student, you are missing school. If you're coming to school, you're not showering, you're not bathing. There are these triggers that make administrators, teachers, we may call CPS, or we may do an intervention as far as trying to figure out what's going on with this school. But if you are sticking one teacher with 60 kids or just a ridiculous number of kids, they're going to miss a lot of these warning signs because they're just trying to teach, and they can't teach because they're managing these behaviors. If you haven't been in the classroom lately, these kids are on phones. Look, it ain't like it was back in the day. Let me tell you right now, back in the day, if you were acting up in school, go to the principal's office. You were getting swats, and they weren't going to be no little taps. You were going to get the business. At least when I was growing up, man, I feared it. I was like, oh my God. The principals, it was a big thing to them to have their paddle out on the wall, and it struck fear in everybody. And I don't know whose great idea it was. Did I hate it? Yeah, did I? But at the same time, it kind of showed you, here are the consequences for your behaviors. If you get out of pocket, yeah, you might get some swats. Now, did people take advantage of that? Yeah, there were some definitely people taking advantage of that. But for the overall, I can't say that I wasn't a fan of it, but I understood it. Here are the consequences of your behavior. But of course, somebody came along, some liberals came along and said, no, that's abuse. On some levels it was, and some levels it wasn't. It's just, hey, that's where all the fights come in. But eventually paddling and all those corporate punishments got pulled out of the school. And you can sharply start seeing the difference in these kids. No, what you call consequences and what kids thought were consequences are now changed. So there's no motivation to stop doing the behaviors that they're doing, because now there's no more swats. That's how a lot of kids took it. My last SWAT, I was 17, and they made sure they got that in. I hated SWATs, man. Jeez, man. Oh my goodness. I feared it. We all did. So now you took out corporal punishment in school. So, okay, liberals, I'll give y'all that. Whoever else believed in kids shouldn't be getting hit at school. Yeah, it makes sense. Total sense. So now your consequences are detention, expelling, whatever. Kids don't want to be in school in the first place. Oh, you're going to send me home? Thanks. Trust and believe that's how kids were thinking, and like, I'm just going to kick it. And because at an age when parents are working longer than ever and harder than ever, when you send a kid home, he's expelled, he's at home chilling. Parents be like, yo, don't watch no TV, et cetera. What? Okay. In this new era of social media, phones and all that, you're not doing no kids favors when you're expelling them. So your detentions and all that stuff, the accountability is the problem. The system is completely broken, and appropriate consequences are not always in place. And that comes from when you don't fund schools, they don't have the resources to counsel, to do peer interventions. There are some schools that do great work. Don't get me wrong. There are some schools that do still use peer interventions, counseling, and all that stuff in those schools. But there are a lot of schools that just don't got the money because they get defunded. So that's problem number one when it comes to why we're missing a lot of these things are happening is we defund schools and we expect them to perform and do certain things without the right equipment, tools, staff, teaching, training, and everything else. Number two is mental health is social services. part of what happens in politics is when they cut social services that directly you think social services, you think your social security card, you're thinking all these other things that have nothing to do with mental health. But mental health is one of the first things that get dinged is when they cut funds in social services. Perfect example was when Schwarzenegger became governor. He cut 10% from social services one year and followed it up with another 10%, that's 20% in a very short period of time. From that, within 6 months, so within 6 month period in California, the first cut, all level 12 all level 12 residential treatment facilities, mental health, closed within 6 months. They defunded. They defunded DCFS. They defunded Department of Family and Children Services. They took the money that they were using and reallocated it someplace else. So now you had a whole 2 departments that no longer had funding, and they end up having to cut back their staff. And then you had schools who no longer had aides for a lot of these kids with mental health issues in school. That means all of your kids with Asperger's and autism and other mental health issues, ADHD, schools were able to get support and get help. But now there's no money. So what happened was, from that, now you've created this huge vacuum of thousands of kids no longer getting mental health services. And a lot of these kids were struggling with behavior issues, aggression issues. A lot of these kids had conduct disorder or oppositional defiance disorder or just ADHD or dual diagnosed. People have no idea how difficult it is to manage kids with mental health issues in school when you don't have the right tools. So when they cut services, social services, it directly affects the departments and the agencies that provide services. So if there's no services, this kid is just floating in space. And things aren't getting better, things are getting worse. So now, instead of the kid getting the support and the services that he needs, now he's managing his mental health on his own with his family, a family that's sometimes not there because of work, because of their own personal internal issues within the family. But whatever it is, now this kid is winging it and trying to figure it out on his own, and that's not a good thing. So now you've got the bullying, you've got no services. It's the perfect storm to create the worst situation, because when a kid reaches a point where he no longer has empathy and he already had impulse problems, just bad things happen. Bad things happen. In certain communities, the hood or the barrio, we see it within gang members. It's kind of a very similar thing. Because for a kid to join a gang and be involved in gangs, there are 2 things that have to happen. He no longer has to have empathy. He can't have it because the gang, it doesn't serve with the gang. It doesn't serve the gang for him to have empathy for people or individuals because of what they're going to have him do. And also impulse control, because on the impulse, you got to be able to pull that trigger. Very similar what happens to kids who joins gangs and are attracted to that lifestyle, because it's more dangerous, because within the gang, they think that's family, right? So that's my family. That's how they always refer to them. But if you look at what gangs are asking them to do and want them to do, it's no different. You are looking at, within minority communities, the talk is that shootings happen all the time at school, which is true. They don't get covered because they're in minority communities, which is true. There are gang members in schools in California. Are you from the Bay to LA all day, every day? Stabbings, jumpings, shootings. It's just, if you live in California, you're kind of aware of it, because if you're in these communities, you deal with it. You're not shocked, but it just doesn't get covered, and it's not mass shootings. Within the gangs, most of the time it's directed towards an individual, one person that they're trying to get, and unfortunately a bystander may get hit in that. That's pretty much the atmosphere around gang shootings, and it's bystanders. It's different than mass shootings. Gang members have a very clear focus. But when you look at what happens with these young people that join gangs, a very similar mindset, that a lot of these young people that join gangs feel a sense of loss, don't feel worthy. Sometimes these kids have been bullied and looking for protection, want to be involved. Gangs are the perfect solution to their bigger problem. You know, instant family, instant protection, instant notoriety, instant everything. But to join a gang, you have to have a certain mindset. You can't have no empathy, and you definitely have to have low impulse control, because when they tell you to do something, you got to do it. It's just the bottom line. So when you look at kids, and a lot of these kids do have mental health issues as well. That's why a lot of times gang leaders are focused on, they focus on the weak. They look for the kids who are easily manipulated or weak and can be controlled and longing or wanting to be a part of something. No self-worth. So when you look at your gang your youth, your young people that are gang members, and your young people and your mass shooters, there are a lot of similarities when it comes to mental health. Sometimes there's similarities as far as their journey, as far as being bullied. I got news for you. A lot of these gang members were not the bullies. They are now, because they're gang members, but they were being bullied and needed to be a part of something for protection. And gang members see that, like, yo, you want to be protected, homie? We got you, man. We got your back. That's why sometimes the most hardest gang members I've ever met have always been the smallest. It's the most unbelievable thing. Like, the smallest, skinniest kids are quick to pull the trigger. It's never the biggest ones. It's always the small ones. Those are the ones you need to worry about. They got that Napoleon complex. Like, they got something to prove. You feel me? So that's always something to think about. So when it comes to our kids who are out here doing mass murder, we're missing a lot of the services and things that the schools need and parents need to help their kids through depression, which is always the precursor for any major issues with your kid. Falling in depression because of the bullying, falling in depression because of lack of not feeling wanted or loved, falling in depression because the family's breaking up, falling in depression because there's abuse in the home. You know, the depression can be brought on by one thing or multiple things, but the thing is, that depression can take you to a very dark place. And when you're in a dark place and you're drowning and you feel like dying, and you're these kids, you want everybody to die. You want people to feel what you feel. And like, how can this, why do these kids do that? This is why. It's like, I feel like dying and I want everybody else to understand how I feel. You want people to feel your pain and you don't know how to express it. So I think that a lot of times the school shootings are increasing because these kids, like right now as we're talking, there are kids plotting to do more, to do school shootings. Just trust and believe it. They saw that this guy did that, and for them, it may have felt like it was them. They may have had a feeling about it and want to experience it themselves, because that's what happens. We call it in the industry, we call it learned behavior. Learned behavior is when kids in the system pick up something they see other kids doing, right? It's called a learned behavior. So you come in the system and you wasn't a cutter. Perfect example. So young girls will watch other girls cutting, and before you know it, they see the girl getting something out of the cutting, and then they start cutting. And so lots of times when we're reading charts and stuff, we'll start seeing, out of the clear blue, this kid start cutting right here. And as we're talking and speaking to the kid will say, well, other girls were cutting, so I started cutting. It wasn't part of who they were. It's just something they picked up, a learned behavior. So lots of times with a lot of young people, we're navigating all these behaviors. There's their behavior, that's who they are, their depression, their issues, along with other behaviors that they pick up from other people. So when it comes to mass shooting, what you have is a lot of kids who are feeling like this kid and thinking like this kid, haven't done anything yet, but they're picking up this learned behavior of how to resolve an issue. And because we promote it on the TV and we talk about it, now what you're seeing is this young person is thinking, they're going to see me, they're going to know me, they're going to know my pain, they're going to understand what I feel like, because I'm going to make them understand what I feel like by doing this act. If I feel this way, they need to feel this way, because people don't care about me. People don't love me. People don't this. People don't. They come up in their mind. They come up with all of these things that they think is true, which is not. And then on TV, they see all of these people grieving and crying. Oh, now you care about something. You know, well, what about me? What about me? You know, so they learn from that. They pick these learned behaviors up, and then they start their own plan of how to do mass shootings. You know, well, I want people to see me. I want people to know that I'm in pain. And the only way I see to do that is to do the same thing this guy did. So that's the problem. So with parents, what I tell parents is that they have to be more diligent. Like nowadays, you can't just go to work and come home, drink a beer, sip some wine, turn on the TV. Nah, you can't do that. We're well beyond them days. When you come home, get a second to get yourself together, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and know where your kid is. Where is he? Because you need to create an atmosphere to where he needs to be home when you get home, unless he's in sports or something like that. But when you're home, he needs to be home. There needs to be dinner. We need to get back to basics. That's what we really need to do. Get back to basics. Back to being together during dinner, talking. Because let me tell you right now, if somebody's cooking a meal for dinner or dinner's already made, and you and your kids are sitting at a table, or you, your kid, your husband is sitting at a table, and somebody at the other, and one of your kids at the other end of the table is A, not eating, B, you're noticing they're looking really thin, C, not talking, not communicating, just disconnected, warning signs, all red flags. So what you're going to do, just continue to eat and not engage? No, this is why coming home and interacting with your kids and and being a part of the family is important. Yes, work is hard. Yes, providing is hard, but nothing's harder than visiting your kid in a grave. Nothing's harder than visiting your kid at the hospital after they've been shot. Nothing's harder than visiting your kid in jail. So you have to weigh the cost. You know what I'm saying? You have to do it. You have to create an atmosphere where family is important. And not every job's a good job. Your job can't be your family, your family. So going home, making sure that, let's say you cook dinner and your kid don't come down. You need to go up there. Now, get out of my room. There is no get out of my room. They don't pay the bills. That's another thing. We letting these kids have too much power. You know, we're glamorizing these kids. You got kids coming on Dr. Phil becoming famous because they cuss their parents out, because they disrespect adults. This is the environment that we're creating for our young people, that to be disrespectful and to act inappropriate and just facetious and all these other things, it's rewarded. You've got this industry out, this social media industry and other industries embracing these behaviors and basically telling these kids, yeah, it's not only is that cool for you to be that way, you're going to make money. And there's no wonder that these things continue to happen around school shootings and bullying and all that, because the message the kids are getting is there are no real consequences. Oh, then somebody might think the consequences, they get killed. No, that's not a consequence if you already feel like you're dead inside. You're just fulfilling the prophecy. That's all you're doing. You know, there's no consequence if you're going to jail. A lot of these kids have never been to jail. They have no idea of what jail is like until after they get there, and then the reality hits in. So it doesn't make any sense, you know. So it's important that everybody you have to connect with your young people. Listen, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your kid. You can be an uncle, a niece, a brother, a sister. You can be a volunteer, a mentor, but whatever you are and whoever you are, you have to be able to identify kids in crisis around you. Everybody know me. You're not going to walk by me and something's not right. And I'm not going to, hey, how are you? I'm Marquise. How are you doing? I'm engaging in that kind of way. I want to know who you are because I'm sensitive to kids and they struggle. There's no way I can walk this planet and not know how you doing, because the kids are the future. And we're just doing them a disjustice. We're sending them the wrong messages. You know, I call it the I generation. I want this, I want that, I want it now, I want it this, I. They didn't get that way by just waking up overnight and being that way. They got that way because people fed into this I behavior. You know, this whole I generation became that way because we got too busy and too much caring about ourselves and letting our kids live their lives. Kids nowadays are more adults now than they've ever been before. They're more independent now and living their own lives and social media and disconnecting than ever before. It wasn't like that back in the day. Back in the day, parents were parenting, kids were kids. You didn't dating online and chatting and sex texting and all that stuff. Man, please. Social media has not turned out to be the best thing ever. It's actually ended up being a negative thing. Between really what it ended up being is a money grab for a lot of these companies to pitch stuff to you. That's what it turned out to be. It started off being a way for everybody to connect. But once these companies realized that we can make millions and billions of dollars off of advertising and other things, it kind of changed. They stopped caring about connecting to each other and like, let me pitch these products. That's why Facebook got in trouble. Completely started chasing the money, and that led everybody down the wrong road. So our kids are basically a product of what we have allowed as a country, as a nation, to go on way too long when it comes around social media as a whole, letting stuff slide on TV, radio, and everything else. And then we want to be mad because these kids are doing what they're doing. Nope, it's our fault. Because every 10 years, we continue to let stuff like I said, I've talked about this before. Back in the day, you couldn't even say any cuss words on TV. The morals that were on TV back in the day were pretty strict. And then we keep loosening those morals. And now everything's a green light. You can do anything. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So school shootings, as far as schools are concerned, yep. I think they can. There are things that schools can do. Of course, they're going to do the things that we expect. Increase security, have more police officers at the schools, kind of the same things that's been going on. But here's the problem. What really is going to be able to fix these issues is not going to happen because your politics are going to get in the way. For you to really help these kids stop doing what they're doing, you're going to have to start putting your support around social services as far as politically. And that's just where the money is. So if you are a Republican, you're not with that because that's tax money. But where do you want to spend your money? That's the question. If I'm a taxpayer, where do I want to spend my money? So here's the problem with that. So what happens is a lot of this immigration stuff is tied into some of this social services money, but so they focus so much on that you be like, nah, I don't want to pay for that. But what you don't understand is you're also not paying for mental health services and other things too. So social services is not as simple as you think it is when it comes to spending your tax money. But what you need to do is be clear about what that tax money is spent for. That's what you want to have an understanding for. On a state level, you need to understand how your taxes are being used and make sure it's appropriately being used that way. You need to have a voice and make sure that people understand in your state that if I'm paying taxes, I want my taxes to go to schools and mental health services for children, period, point blank. And really talk about that, the elderly and whatever it may be, and find out where all the money is being allocated to. That's not hard to do. They do a budget, they send that budget out, but we're so busy living our lives, we don't even know to ask. Or look at it. So that's problem number one. If we're not providing services to these young people who are dealing with depression, mental health issues, then we're going to continue to see these type of things happening in our schools with the shootings. If we do not make accountability with parents in these guns, not locking them up, keeping them under their pillows and everything else with kids in the house, there needs to be more accountability on that as well. I'm not sure what the consequences should be, but there should be some. A parent might want to think twice, like, oh my goodness, did you hear what happened to Jeff? What happened? Oh, Jeff is doing 20 years. For what? His kid killed somebody with his gun. Where was the gun? Oh, it was in a shoe in the closet. That stuff happens. That dumb stuff happens. If you don't believe me, just look up, just do a search about siblings killing each other with guns, and just do like little searches, and you'll be surprised how many kids throughout the year kill a sibling or a family member with a gun. They were playing with it, and where they found the gun at. They didn't go into a rifle case, a locked case. These guns were just out and about. People being careless, irresponsible. So really, that's the only way we're going to solve these issues is enforce the gun laws that are already in place. Make sure they're not lax laws, like you're just chilling on the law and not really enforcing it, whatever it is in your state. It's a state issue, even more so than it's federal. State to state, you have to figure out what your fight is. Of course, in liberal states like California, you may just go more extreme, and in some regions like Texas, they're not going to do too much of nothing. So the other issue is politically, is talking about social services and how your taxes are being used, because you don't normally care about it until it's your family, your kids, your community. So you need to talk about that and make sure that problem is getting taken care of. Yeah, man, I just think that people don't stop letting your emotions get you so fired up politically to where you're blind to things that are right in your face. As soon as you heard them saying about cutting social services, you were so happy about it because your taxes, so it's great. It's great. I'm going to have less taxes. Okay. But here are the consequences for that. Every time there's one of these shootings and stuff is popping off like that, then they say, it looks like this kid had mental health issues. Oh, then you should feel a certain kind of way. If you're gonna pay taxes, it needs to be to the future, which our children are our future. That's one of the first places it should go. We should be funding education. We should be funding DCFS, DMH, Department of Mental Health, and all these other departments that deal with mental health issues. Jeez, do you really want these people out on the street? Not I'm saying people, because there's a lot of homeless people, and like, I don't want to be funding these homeless people. A lot of these homeless people have mental health issues. But okay, fine, you don't want to deal with adults, fine. Let's put our energy and our focus into our young people, period, point blank. Let's stop playing games, man. I just stop worrying about yourself. It's the United States of America. It's not the I care about myself states of America. We can't do nothing alone. And moments of silence and stuff like that ain't working. It ain't been working. But what needs to happen is voting. Voting is the only way to solve these problems. You really care about stuff, vote. Vote these people out that are defunding your education, your educational stuff in your state. Vote the people out that are wasting money. Vote the people out. Vote people out that ain't doing what you want them to do. So that's the only way things change is voting. On a state level, a local level, look, you think the state and local level is the most important area to be voting in. You don't vote for the president, whatever, but that local and that state, you need to be on that. You need to know how they're spending your money, where that money's going. So, yeah, it's your boy Keys, man. We're just talking about the shooting in Santa Fe and the shooting, really the different shootings all around the United States of America, and just having in the schools and having a conversation about that, helping everybody understand why this is continuing to happen, why there are kids right now plotting and planning, why these issues are not going away. Let alone if you believe it's the gun laws or if it's mental health issues, it's all wrapped in together. It's one big meal that we've all got to eat and stomach and deal with it, but it has to be eaten, and we have to decide what we're going to do. We have to decide how we're going to have to stop being passive about things and make tough decisions. If we're going to be paying taxes, it needs to go towards and worth things doing. Okay. Because these lives we're losing are worth every tax I pay. I would rather pay for these kids as getting what they need than to be paying for some ridiculous research about butterflies. And you guys have no idea how they waste our money, do you? You need to do some research about the things the government funds, the research stuff. Man, please do a research on, don't even get me started. I don't even want to talk about that because it'll make me mad. I just know a little bit more about where this money goes than you do. All right, it's your boy Keith, man. Let's play some music. I'm gonna play some music that's gonna hopefully lift you up, encourage you, and just let you know that no matter what's going on in this planet, God has a plan and a purpose in everything. And a lot of his plan and purpose has to do with you guys. Wake up. There's only way to solve all these problems. That's through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And that believing in him and being responsible with morals and responsibility, family, everything that God stands for is the key. It will lead you to get around a lot of these loopholes that people create and a lot of these situations where our young people are going through it. Just No, let me tell you, man, if he can save somebody, like I could have been one of these kids. Like I was in the system. I was 3 elementary schools, 2 junior highs or 3 junior highs, 2 or 3 high schools. Like, look, I was going through it like unbelievably. But I'm gonna tell you what, like people say, Arquise, how did you change? I changed because God stepped in and changed my life. Nothing was working. Look, I had therapy. I had some of this stuff. And what it did do, now let me just help everybody out. Did therapy help? Yes. Therapy helped me with thought process and understanding. Because before that, I had no impulse control. Whatever I thought I did. So when I started getting therapy and medication, it helped me to see clearly. But there was something missing. I still felt empty, and that emptiness is what draws you into depression. So from that, when God finally just was like, it's time, man, stop fighting me and just give it to me. When he finally stepped into my life, and he had always been there, it's just me fighting him, it changed everything. Because all those things that led me to be violent and careless and just no remorse and just lack of all those things, he took that stuff, all the negative, he took it. All was left was the good. You know what I'm saying? So, and everybody's not a believer. I get that. But what I'm saying to you is if you water positive things happen. If you water bad things happen. Like they're like seeds. Like if you put water on a seed, it's going to grow. So if you have bad thoughts and you start putting bad things around you and bad mindset and bad people and bad this, if everything is bad things are going to happen. Straight up. It's your boy Arquise. We're going to play this music, man, and I hope it reaches your heart. It's Arquise and the Food for Thought Project, IMG Studios.
With my fate, so now I wait and anticipate all the hate that I need to break. And now I'm late for the case that I'm trying to escape. And even through these tears, I see the truth. So many people on my side, I need to shed loose. Cause there's no room in this place that I wanna dwell. Because the way that you're living's guaranteed to fail. And that's hell, yeah. And Father, forgive me for the things that I've done, yeah. And Father, forgive me cause I know you the one, yeah. You're the one that's been there from the beginning to the end, yeah. You're the one that saw me when I was drowning in my sin, yeah. I once was blind, but now I can see how many things that my Father did for me. So I'ma break these chains, I've been shackled for so long. I'm sorry for running and I knew I was wrong, yeah.
the Holy Spirit. As I look back on my life, I see how sometimes I disappear. Being in the wrong relationships with folks who ain't even here. Giving away my heart that I was playing it smart but became far from your friendship and the love you gave to me. To play with the demons that can never ever save me. If you didn't exist, I wouldn't wanna be here. Because this world can be unforgiving and put you in a prison. But oh no, you have risen, put me on a mission. That's why I'm living, so the world gotta shut up and pay attention. Gotta get back to loving with our heart, and not basing things off feelings and doing things for the attention. The attention we need is all in you. You the truth, got me spitting fire while I'm in this booth. You let me loose, and that's why I'm running to you. I'm running to you. I'm running to you.
That's Running. And man, such a perfect song to play right now, because that's how I be feeling. Like sometimes you just be like, Lord, I'm running back to you. I just cannot do this without you. You're the way. And when I think about when we were writing that song and we were putting it together, I mean, that was the whole premise, man. It's just giving young people like, look, just run to the Father, man. Just drop everything. Just however you feeling about a situation, no matter what's going on, just run to the Father and just say, Lord, I'm so sorry. I should have been here a long time ago. I've been trying to do this on my own. I've been trying to do this my way. I've been dealing with this depression my way. I've been dealing with this anger my way. I've been doing all these things and behaviors my way. And it always ends up being bad for me. But I'm ready to change. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to be healed so that I don't feel this way. And that's what running is. I'm running back to you. My heart has been broken into. I should have never left your side, and now I just want to hide. And I want to hide because of the shame of just having you watch me be this person that I know I can be better. You know what I mean? So I love that song. It really means a lot to me. And whenever I feel a certain type of way, doubting myself or whatever it may be, that's the song I play. That's my go-to right there, Running. And I appreciate Christina and everybody else who ministered on that song, man. You really did a great job. But I want to take a pause for a cause real quick and just, I normally started off with just talking about our sponsors, Yahweh International, New Foundation Productions out there in California, man. Robert and the team, the board and everybody, man. Thank y'all. Man, I just never doubt that what you do does make a difference. It does change lives. It really does, because people need to hear these messages. And, because sometimes when you're too far to the left and too far to the right, and people just get shut off to that. But this show, we're kind of like right in the middle. I try to stay in the middle, You know, I have strong opinions about some stuff that's buffoonery, but at the end of the day, I'm able to listen to both sides, and they all have truth in it. That's what I find, that both sides are telling a little bit of the truth. If you take their 50% of the truth and take their 50% of the truth and you put that in the middle, there's 100% truth right there. But they don't want to compromise. They don't want to work together. So they just continue to do what they do. But here on the Food for Thought show, we're going to continue to push forward and try to help heal the nation and bring change. I want to play another song right now. Let me look into the archives. Let me see what I got. It's your boy Arquise and the Food for Thought Project.
He was trying to get out his ID and his wallet out his pocket, and he let the officer know that he had a firearm and he was reaching for his wallet, and the officer just shot him in his arm. Please don't tell me
can feel my pain, my pain. These tears I cry, only God knows why. Nobody really understands me and what I go through on a daily. But you always been my daddy. Even when I had no man around me, I felt rejected, neglected, depressed, stressed, and less than your best. Now I rock with the greatest, past the A-list, living in heavenly bliss.
Through dirt. Sometimes the pain hurt, make me minimize my work. Looking for more in the church, but all I see is works. Looking for more in the church, but all I see is works. Can I make it through my problems? I'ma need faith. Still walking, even though my knees ache. Rejection a lesson I've been facing since adolescence. Shell shock from them gunshots while I was resting. Blowing the environment where I was taught not to panic. Now I'm doing work in the hood like a mug gang. Came from throwing up my side with the gang signs. Funny game to the lock, it got gunned down. A life story of scars that changed for good through the Lord. I could be in the morgue, my past decisions were poor, but look what he had in store. Gotta feel pain to feel joy. I promise this can be yours. Yeah, I see these scars.
Jesus, no!
These scars.
Yeah, Christ-Sized Soldiers. Both of these songs are from the Christ-Sized Soldier HD project. The first one was Running, and this second one is These Scars. And it's these, you know, two important songs when you really think about it, because what they both are saying is, as humans, as people, as believers, we out here trying to do it on our own. And only God can feel your pain. When you think nobody else gets it, you think nobody else cares, trust and believe God is right there standing with you, letting you know that he loves you, cares about you. The depression that you got, he heals that. The pain you got, he heals that. That loneliness, he got that. Everything you're going through, he's right there. You know, so you gotta just say yes to him. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta open up your heart and let him have it. And I guarantee you, man, he's gonna do a miracle in you. You'll never be the same. I've been there. I'm telling you, man. From 3 to 19, just nothing good. Nah, man, that was horrible. And let me tell you, when God stepped in, man, he did that. I mean, he amazed me with the things he did with me, just in a blink of an eye. It was no waiting when it came to what I needed. I needed it right now or else. So I thank him for coming into my life. And of course, I know everybody's not believers, but I'm just here to tell you there's a better way. You know, for you non-believers though, just trust and believe that you are made perfect and that you can heal and be restored through your situation. Seek help, get close to family, get close to friends, let people know what you're going through. And let people in. That's another problem. Let people in and let them allow people to love you and encourage you and get people out your life that they ain't supposed to be there. Get all the negative people out, all the haters out. People just get off of social media too. If social media is causing you all this pain and anguish because people are bullying you, get off of that. As far as school is concerned, make people accountable at school to make sure that you're able to get an education. Young people, stand up. Stand up, put these phones down, stop being an I generation, be up here. Start being a you, like help get you right. You know what I'm saying? Start with you first. You know, don't be entitled and all that stuff. Move beyond that. It's your boy Keith, man. And I just want everybody to know that you are loved and that I love y'all, man. I love doing this show. I appreciate Yahweh International and New Foundation Productions for giving me this opportunity. We've been riding strong for a minute. If you have not gone back and listened to all the other interviews, you need to do that, because this show is not just, it's a little bit of mix of everything. It's a little bit of music and a lot of food for thought, different topics. You know, sometimes I talk about sports. Maybe next time I'll talk about sports because my two favorite teams, which is Golden State and the Rockets, are playing each other. But that's a whole nother issue, whole nother show. It's your boy Keith, man. I love you guys, man. Peace and grace, and we out. Sometimes we don't think about the things we do.
Think about it. Just think
Have you
about
really weighed the cost? Because I don't think you have. Just think about it.
Just think about it.
Just think about it and weigh the cost.
Don't you know your soul will be lost?
And just think about it
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
Just think about it
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
and just think about it.
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
Yeah, I know she looks good, all up in her eyes. But if you go there, man, you in for a surprise, yo. Things don't always look as they may seem. You might call it butter, and I might call it cream, yo. Don't take a chance, you already got love. I thought you told me she was sent from above. I think you tripping cause you haven't weighed the cost. I guarantee that your love will be lost. And now you're lying, kicking it with two chicks. Yo, check out your window, somebody just threw a brick. Nah, I'm just joking, but look at your reaction. But next time it just might be a fatal attraction. Too many homies, too many kids. Check out your flesh, look what it did. Single mothers, whoa, holding it down. Why you out there flousing all over town? Just think about it and weigh the cost.
Don't you know your soul will be
Yo,
lost?
and just think about it
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
Just think about it
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
and just think about it
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
and just think about it before you pull the trigger. You're gonna take somebody's life, but how do you figure that everything will work out fine? Spiritual warfare has a very thin line, yo. There ain't no middle ground in this war. It's heaven or hell, so tell me who is keeping score. You so young and don't even have hope. At age 10, you was already selling dope. Yo, wise through the street, a soldier in the game. I pray for your homie because it's time to make a change, yo. Group home, jail cells, will it ever end? Young black teenagers, yo, it seems like a trend. But for you, young child, it ain't never too late. Just put down the gun and you will surely change your fate, yo. Give it to God and he will surely make it right. And now you a soldier, ready to fight. Just think about it.
Think about it.
Think about it.
Just think
Have you
about
really weighed the cost? Think about it.
Think
I don't think you have. Just think about it.
Just think about it.
Just think about it.
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
Just think about it.
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
Just think about it.
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
And just think about it.
And weigh the cost. Don't you know your soul will be lost?
Just think about it. Yeah.
Don't you know your soul will be lost?
And just think about it, young child. You know what I'm saying?
Don't you know your soul will be lost?
Just think about it, sister. Come on.
Don't you know your soul will be lost?
And just think about it, homie. Yeah.
Don't you know your soul will be lost?
And just think about it. Come on. I know it's hard, y'all. Just think about it. We got the power. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Lord, you truly been good to me, and I know it's so amazing, Lord, to be loved by you.
Nah, it's not hard to explain, so you better stay close so you don't go insane. You'll never be the same, and everything about you is really gonna change. Now check out the way that you walk, and check out the way that you talk. Started from the bottom, now you're here, and everything in your life seems so clear. Let's ride. It's so amazing to be loved by you. Through love.
Teach me, and you show me.
Thank you, Lord.
What love really is.
Yes, Lord.
And the sacrifice you made was all for me.
You done it for me.
And that's you continue to show me
Yes, you did.
how amazing you are. You're so amazing to be loved. I follow you to the moon and the sky.
I'll praise you to the moon and back, cause everything you did got my life on track. The whole universe really needs to know that everything about you's the way I flow. So you better get up and stand up and rep the king. And if you can't rap, you know you better sing. So stand up and let it all out, cause this is what it's all about. That's right. So amazing. So amazing. Feeling so blessed. I'm feeling so blessed, yeah. So amazing. So blessed. I'm feeling so blessed, I'm so amazed. I'll never turn my back and I'll never run away. And I know I'm not the best, and there's so many things that I need to confess, because you never gave up on me, and I hope everybody can see I'm a better man all because of you. It doesn't matter what you say, it's what you do. It's so amazing.